If there were a manual for life, written for me specifically, I'd still toss it aside and do it my own way. I'm Andrea Leigh, and this is the Andrea Leigh Show. Most people aren't who they think they are. They're who they were told to be. Episode 4 got a lot of response and quickly, within minutes of the podcast posting. So today, we're going to dig further into those labels we give ourselves and where they come from. If you lost every label, your job title, your gender, your background, your political identity, what would you be left with? It's humorous to think that what would be left would just touch the surface of what God sees. But this isn't about God. This is about you and how you see yourself. When you meet someone for the first time, what do they usually say first? What do you do? And what's the first thing you say when responding? It's with a label. You make it easy for them, and they weren't even looking for easy. They were looking for your experience, and you gave them a label. Why are you defining yourself by who you are and not what you do? The labels I've had are more numerous than I can count, or it's coming close. Husband, wife, spouse, farmer rep, triathlete, rancher, property designer, chic boutique manager, man, woman, speaker, author, coach, stylist, son, daughter, dad, but not mom. And at the core, none of the labels truly define me. They're experiences I've had or I'm having. So what's the labels you're holding on to? Which ones have you held on to the longest? And what are the ones you won't let go of? Have you ever felt yourself defending one of those labels when people questioned it? And does it ever feel like people expect you to stay the same just because they're comfortable with a certain version of you? So where do they come from? Starting at birth and expanding as we go. You have a boy, you have a girl. Before you even take your first breath, the expectations have been set. You've always been the leader. You're the sensitive one. You're the troublemaker. You're a straight-A student, so you're responsible. You got a laugh in class, so you must be the class clown. You're the funny one. They're not about our skills and talents. They're usually about our own self-image at that point. You're the responsible one? Does that mean you never get to screw up? What if you're the wild child? Does that mean you never get to grow up? And what if you're the golden child? Do you ever get to struggle without disappointing anyone? What label did you get as a kid that's now a burden on you more than an identity? Think about the first question we usually ask somebody when meeting somebody new. What do you do? And think about how we typically answer. I'm a lawyer. I'm a coach. I'm a stay-at-home mom. We respond with the label, not what we do. Instead of saying, I'm a coach, what if you said I help people break through the mental roadblocks and the hurdles, and the biggest ones are in their own minds? Then I help them rediscover their purpose. What if instead of saying, I'm a teacher, you said I inspire kids to think outside of the box? And instead of saying I'm a stay-at-home mom, how about you say, I run a household of future adults and I keep everything moving like the boss I am? See, we've been conditioned to answer with categories, labels, instead of what it is we do. But what we do is bigger than the title, and who we are is just under the surface of all those labels. Let's talk about how the brain categorizes people. Studies show that our brains process new people in under 1/10 of a second. We've got them categorized so fast based on age, gender, race, perceived social status, they don't have to do any work. There's no need to give people any more boxes They're working quick on it themselves. Psychology research confirms that people self-categorize into groups to fit in, even when it limits them. And we talked about that in the last episode. Go back and listen to that and see if that stirs anything inside of you. The labels, they're mental prisons. They'll define you more than your actions do. They'll control how people see you before they even know you. Why do you even help them out? They'll limit your ability to change or evolve or actually be more complex than what that label could ever describe. I don't believe most people actually care. I think they're asking you to make it easy for them to put you in a box for reference. Those labels, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. If you were labeled the quiet one, did you ever stop speaking up? Not because you were quiet, because that's who you were. And if you were labeled the strong one, did you ever feel like you just couldn't ask for help when you needed it? Now, the crutches. I'm just an anxious person. No need for courage. I could never do what you did, so why try and learn from it? I've never been good at that, so why try again? And my personal favorite, the just trap. Watch how you minimize yourself. I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm just an associate. I'm just a rep. I'm just not creative enough. Listen to yourself and how you use the just word. Minimizing your own value, shrinking your own self-worth and identity before you even say what comes after just. So how do you break free from all of this? You recognize the labels that have defined you, and you get rid of the ones that don't work. Write them down, all the labels you've been given, and ask yourself, do I even believe these, or are they true? Your personal growth, part of that $12 billion that we spend annually on personal development in the United States, your personal development means you don't need to give people a version of yourself that never upgrades. And if people are uncomfortable with the change you're making, well, that's their resistance to it. That has nothing to do with you. That's their stuff to dig through. I know people that were there for my transition and they're still resistant to adapting to it. That's their stuff, not mine. The people who resist your growth are attached to a version that benefits them or keeps them from digging into who they might find stirring under their own labels. One of the best compliments I ever received was when someone on my team tried to explain who I was to an event planner, and they couldn't find the right label. And they finally just said, "She's Andrea." That moment made me realize something important, that when people don't have the labels for you, they see you. Not their expectation of you, not their assumption of you, just you. And if the only thing left is your name, that's the best possible compliment you could ever receive. And that's when you'll know you've broken free. If people still refer to you as who you were 5 years ago, that's not about your identity. It's about their resistance to change. But you may want to consider filling in the gaps with something you do now and not another label. The challenge? Those 5 labels that define you, maybe even haunt you, cross out the ones that don't serve you anymore and rewrite who you are. Ask yourself, what's the experience I'm having? What is it I'm currently working on? Or maybe even dig deep and respond with what's screaming to be recognized. If this episode resonates, hit subscribe, share it, and send it to somebody that needs to hear it. DM me, email, or drop a comment. if you're ready to shed your labels. I want to hear those labels. Until next time, I'm Andrea Leigh, and this is The Andrea Leigh Show.